So me and my boyfriend like going out dancing on the weekend, which always ends with us stumbling into our favorite pizza place before joining the taxi queue. We've done this most weekends for over a year now, so I've become somewhat friendly with the guys who own the pizzeria. They know us by name and always make a big fuss over us and offer us a discount every time. Now here's where it gets weird. Last night, on Sunday night, at 11 p.m., my boyfriend and I were in bed because we had work in the morning. My phone started ringing, which was weird for that time of the night, and I saw that it was an unknown number, so I ignored it. Next thing we know, there's someone knocking at the front door. All the lights in the house were off, so we were clearly in bed or not in. I had another call from the same number, and then the person knocking started hammering on the door and flicking the letterbox. My boyfriend got up to answer it, even though I was a bit shaken up and warned him not to. If I had been alone in the house, I never would have answered. So he goes downstairs to answer the door, and lo and behold, it's one of the guys from the pizzeria, holding 2 freshly cooked pizzas that we didn't order. He said not to tell the other guys at the shop, but they were a gift from him to us, his favorite customers. My boyfriend took them from him and thanked him, but we couldn't get back to sleep for hours. We just felt so odd about it. We have ordered from there once for takeaway, so that's clearly how we got our address and my phone number, but it's still weird. This happened a few weeks ago, and it was so bizarre that I still think about it every so often. Anyway, I was babysitting my nieces, 8 years old and 10 years old, since my sister was going out to meet this other girl at a coffee shop. I offered to babysit my nieces since their house was nice, and I didn't have anything else to do that night. So I decided, why not? And at first we just watched movies and played video games together. Later on into the night, I noticed they didn't eat anything, and so I asked them if they were hungry. They both replied no at first. That's when I said I can make a quesadilla for them, or anything else they want. They still replied no. When I mentioned pizza, they immediately yelled yes, of course they would. Well, bad idea that night. When I called the local Pizza Hut, I ordered 2 large pizzas to be delivered. Keep in mind that I went outside to make this phone call. Quite loudly, I should say, because it was dead silent outside. I only went outside because I noticed a bag on the street, and I thought it was mine or somebody else's. It was just trash when I looked closely at it. I'm assuming this was the neighbor's trash bag. 20 minutes go by and I hear a doorbell ring. It was the Pizza Hut delivery girl. I paid her in cash, and I took the pizzas to the kitchen where my nieces were eating at. This is when the weird stuff happens. Not even 10 minutes go by, and I hear the doorbell ring again. I was skeptical at first, and I looked out of the window. It was hard to see much of anything by this point. I opened the door, only to be greeted by an old man with a pizza box in his hand. He says to me, "Hello, son. I got your pizza you ordered." I tried to answer in a way that would divert the situation. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't order any pizza. You must have got the wrong location." That's when I tried to close the door, but he pushed his hand hard on the door. "Are you sure?" he replied. I firmly replied back, "Yes," and I closed the door. I thought that was the end of that, until one of my nieces told me, "Why is there a man just standing outside of our house?" I was confused, but my heart started to pound when I thought it was the same old man from earlier. I was right. It was the same old man standing outside the house, with the pizza box still in his hand. I was absolutely livid. I opened the door furiously and yelled at him that I would call the cops immediately. He ran off. My sister arrived 2 hours later, and I told her of what happened. She looked immediately concerned and then asked who it was. I told her it was an old man who impersonated a pizza delivery worker. I don't know what she did after I told her. I'm not sure if she called the cops to file a report or not. For context, I'm a guy working as a pizza delivery driver for around 2 years now. Usually I really enjoy the job. Sure, there's a creep or a weirdo here and there, but overall most stops don't give me alarm bells like what I experienced tonight. Anyways, I drive up to this house and immediately get a bit of an uneasy feeling. The guy seemed friendly enough on the phone, but you never know in this part of town, and his voice was rough, like he'd been smoking his entire life. He doesn't come to the door at first, so I have a minute or so to glance through the door at the guy's living room. Usually I wouldn't be so nosy, but the inside front door is wide open, leaving only a rickety glass door between me and his living room. As I try and spot where he is in the house, a lot of the times we have to knock more than once, especially if it's an older customer. I notice he has some photos above the kitchen door frame, directly across from the front door. Normally this wouldn't be off, were it not what the photos were of and how they were placed. The first 2 photos weren't framed, and they seem to have been cut out of something. They're small and depict the same exact photograph. a grainy black and white portrait of a young boy, somewhere between the age of 6 and 10. While it's weird that they're duplicates, what's even weirder is that they look like missing child photos, specifically the kind you would see on a poster from the 70s or 80s. Think of missing kid photos like the ones of Ethan Pats, but specifically how they appeared on the milk carton, not just the original photographs. At first, I thought they might even be missing person reconstructions. They were so grainy, flat, and weird. Hung in between the two pictures was a little bundle of sticks that reminded me of those scented brooms they sell in stores, except without the handle. On the other side of the bundle, there was an old newspaper clipping with a woman who had a hairstyle from the 60s or 70s, just like the photos, and it wasn't framed, and instead just sort of taped to the wall. Before I could get a better look at it all, the guy came to the door and paid for his food. I left with a tip and went on my way. Now there could be a myriad of reasonable explanations for the photos, and besides, I'm in college to go into writing. I've got an imagination, and I've seen a serial killer story or two. I've tried dismissing my initial gut feeling by wondering if it wasn't a memorial for a past friend or a family member. He could also just be one of those people who try and solve cold cases from home. However, the whole situation just gave me a very uneasy, sinister, and disturbing feeling that I can't quite shake. If they were just photos, I wouldn't have noticed, but like I said, these were photographed like missing child posters, not the kind of image you would have stuck on the living room wall in January. Even as someone who has a small vintage photo collection, my gut had a very negative reaction to them. I might be overthinking it, and I'm sure there's an innocent explanation, but it's genuinely the first thing to creep me out on this job in a while.